Hey everyone, it's Dr. Hodges. I'm going for a quick evening run before I head home. I just got through doing some evening rounds, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about motivation and how to get a little motivated, which can certainly be difficult to do. For whatever reason, it seems like in the winter months it's cold, it's kind of dreary, you just kind of want to stay in, and so it can just be a little difficult sometimes just to kind of get the motor going. So I actually had an opportunity to write for Obesity Help, and I was able to write a quick little article about how to take the first step, and I want to discuss a little bit about that today. And you'll also be able to see that full article on Obesity Help, and I'll also have it posted on my website, charlottehodgesmd.com. So they wanted to know, what have you learned over the years about how to take that first step? And I have found that it really kind of boils down to three things. Number one, figuring out a way to overcome your fear. Number two, making a plan. And then number three, finding a way to be accountable. I find like those are the three key points that kind of need to be addressed and touched on. And those seem to be, for most of the time, what can either propel you forward in a project or hold you back. So the very first thing is I would say fear. I think for many people, having the not just the fear of failure, but the fear of disappointment for yourself, for maybe a loved one, for letting somebody down. Definitely the fear of the unknown. I think if you've tried one thing before in the past and it hasn't worked, you definitely don't want to always do it again, especially if there was some pain involved, whether it was physical pain or emotional pain. I mean, what do they say? What's the definition of being an idiot? It's doing the same thing that doesn't work again and again and again. That might have come out wrong, but anyway, you get the idea. So, but I really find that trying to look into yourself to see what is that fear that you have. Are you afraid of the what ifs? And so many times we're very quick to start thinking of the 101 things that could potentially go wrong, and not that 99% of the time will never go wrong, and you focus less on the things that could go right. So for instance, with weight loss surgery, these are very, very safe surgeries. We have all the research that shows complication rates are low, you're able to recover fairly quickly, and yet, even if somebody is seeing that research, it's very easy for them to say, well, my cousin's best friend's sister had a hairdresser who had this surgery and they didn't do well. And so it kind of flies in the face of logic whenever you know that the research is out there that shows that these things are safe, that they're good for you. But that idea and those feelings, that's really coming from a fear, more of a fear of the unknown. And I also just think a fear of getting hurt, because who wants to get hurt? But my question to you would be, what's the alternative? If you decide not to maybe move forward with a weight loss program, or you decide not to move forward with the surgery, you're kind of right where you are now, which can be very frustrating, although it can also be, in an odd way, a little comforting, because you know what to expect. Even if you're not super happy with what the situation is, at least you know what to expect. And so I think trying to recognize that fear and then figuring out ways to overcome it. And for most of my patients, I find that the easiest way to get over your fear is you need to get information. I recommend going to some reputable websites. Obesity Help is great, and definitely asmbs.org. That is our Bariatric Society. IFSO, that is our International Bariatric Society. They have a ton of great information. It has all the information on the research. It has all the information on the latest procedures, what is an improved procedure, who are good doctors, all those things that patients will find very helpful. The other thing that you can do, in addition to finding out information, is going to different blogs and maybe looking at different videos, trying to see what has somebody else gone through where they've been in success, what have their failures been. Go to different Facebook sites, Instagram posts, vlogs, you name it, because there's definitely something to be said about knowing that you're part of a community and that you're not alone. So I find if you can kind of pinpoint what exactly is your fear, what are you really afraid of, and then try to validate that fear. It's okay if you're worried, but now what are you going to do about it? Because let's do something about it. And usually it's, let's go ahead and try to find out some more information that's good and valid. So that's number one. The second thing would be making a plan. You know, I actually heard this in one of our church sermons this past summer, and it was, what is the difference between people that are succeeding and then people that fail? And what was interesting is they said, you know, most everybody has a goal. I think if you talk with most people, they'll say, I want to have more money in the bank, or I want to be healthier, or I want to have a better job. But the difference between somebody that just has that as a basic goal or a wish and somebody that actually attains those things is really making a plan and then finally sticking with it. So what is the best way to make a plan? Well, it kind of goes back to the very first part of this, step one, which is finding out your fear and finding out information. The only way for you to figure out a plan to get you to the next step is you need to do your research. So what are the steps that you need to take and to get to your goal, number one? And then number two, do you have some alternatives? Don't be that person that at the first sign of a roadblock, you just stop. When you stop, that's the difference between somebody being a success and then somebody just staying complacent. So I encourage you guys that if you get into a roadblock, that's okay. Use that as an opportunity to move forward, learn more about yourself. Ooh, pardon me. And for instance, let's say you're going through your insurance approval process. You have 6 months to do it. Guess what? Just get in there, dig in, and do it. If that's what insurance requires, just do it. Now, what about if you have gone through your whole process and now you've got an insurance denial? Well, you don't just give up. You find a way around it. There is always a way. Ask your doctor, can they do a peer-to-peer? Can they do an appeal? Is there something that you can also do on your end so that you can get that insurance approval? So don't just stop at the very first roadblock. Make your plan. Be willing to roll with the punches. And if you need to, go to plan B and plan C. There's always a way. And it's kind of funny. In surgery residency especially, we kind of learned that no is not an option. And so I've kind of taken that through my whole practice. No is not an option. There's always a way. So make a plan and find a way. And then finally, being accountable. You know, all the research shows that if you can find a way, or maybe I should say this, all the research shows that the people with the best long-term results are the people that stick with it. So how can you stick with it? Well, you can stick with it by either having a crew around you, like a good friend, a family member. Make sure that you're picking people that want to build you up, not tear you down. And remember, a lot of times if people are not as supportive, it might be because of their own fears. They're fearful for you, they're afraid of the unknown, and they just don't have all the information. But remember, that's on them. That's not on you. And this is your journey, and you can't control their feelings or their ideas. All you can do is control and work on your own. So if you're able to pick a big crew around you, fantastic. The other thing I'd recommend is keep a log for yourself. I use my Fitness Pal, but if you don't want to use my Fitness Pal, There's a lot of different logs that are out there. I think it's great that, and whenever people can log their food, log their calories, have reminders for their vitamins and protein, having ways to keep checklists for their progress, all those things really help to keep you engaged so that you can have good long-term success. You know, having your own personal accountability is crucial. And you know, and finally, I want you guys to know is, you know, there's an entire bariatric community out there. There are doctors, nurses, ancillary staff, other bariatric patients that we want to see succeed. We are all in this together, and that you can do it. So I hope that this helps. I want you to find what's holding you back, look at your fear, get the research, make a plan, and then finally know that you're part of a wonderful community that's here to help. I hope that this helps. If you guys found this helpful, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and visit me at my website. Have a good night.